Imagine living a life free from stress, anxiety, and self-doubt. Welcome to the 4 Agreements, a simple yet powerful guide to achieving inner peace and harmony. This life-changing philosophy, created by Don Miguel Ruiz, has helped millions of people around the world find their path to happiness and fulfillment. As you join me on this journey, I want you to imagine yourself living a life where you feel confident, authentic, and at peace with yourself and the world around you. The 4 Agreements are not just a set of rules or principles. They're a way of living that requires commitment, patience, and practice. But trust me, the rewards are well worth it. By embracing these agreements, you'll be able to live a more authentic, meaningful life, free from the burdens of negativity, fear, and doubt. So, let's dive right in and explore the first agreement. The first agreement: be impeccable with your word. The first agreement is all about honesty and integrity in your words and actions. When you're impeccable with your word, you communicate truthfully and authentically, without manipulating or deceiving others. This means being mindful of your tone, body language, and the words you choose to use. Imagine being in a situation where you're asked to describe something to a friend. You might be tempted to exaggerate or embellish the truth to make yourself sound more impressive. But, if you're impeccable with your word, you'll choose to be honest and authentic, even if it means sharing something that might not be particularly exciting. The benefits of being impeccable with your word are numerous. When you communicate truthfully, you build trust and credibility with others. You become more confident in your relationships and more at ease in social situations. Plus, you'll feel a sense of pride and integrity knowing that you're being true to yourself and others. However, being impeccable with your word isn't always easy. There may be times when you're tempted to bend the truth or sugarcoat reality. But, remember that honesty is always the best policy, even if it's difficult or uncomfortable. Common pitfalls and how to avoid them. One common pitfall when it comes to being impeccable with your word is feeling like you need to be perfect all the time. This can lead to anxiety and self-doubt, causing you to question your own integrity and judgment. To avoid this pitfall, remember that being impeccable with your word is a journey, not a destination. It's okay to make mistakes and learn from them. What's important is that you're committed to being honest and authentic in your words and actions. Another pitfall to watch out for is people-pleasing. This can lead to compromising your values and integrity in order to avoid conflict or criticism. But, remember that true friends and loved ones will respect and appreciate your honesty, even if it's difficult to hear. Tips and shortcuts. So, how can you apply the first agreement in your daily life? Here are a few tips and shortcuts to get you started. Practice mindfulness and self-awareness by paying attention to your thoughts, emotions, and actions. Use I statements instead of you statements to take ownership of your thoughts and feelings. Be willing to say I don't know or I'm not sure when you're unsure or unclear. Listen actively and respond thoughtfully to others. Retention hook. So far, we've explored the first agreement and how it can help you live a more authentic and meaningful life. But there's still so much more to learn. Stay tuned for the next section, where we'll dive into the second agreement: don't take anything personally. Before we move on, take a moment to reflect on how you can apply the first agreement in your daily life. What are some situations where you might struggle with being impeccable with your word? How can you practice mindfulness and self-awareness to overcome these challenges? As you continue on this journey with the 4 agreements, remember that it's not about perfection, it's about progress. By committing to these agreements, you'll be taking the first steps towards a more authentic, meaningful life. And that's something to get excited about. Let's move on to the second agreement, where we'll explore the importance of not taking things personally. This is an area where many of us struggle, and it's a crucial step in achieving inner peace and harmony. Pause for 2 to 3 seconds. The power of letting go is a theme that we'll explore in more depth later on. But, for now, let's just say that it's an essential part of living a life free from stress, anxiety, and self-doubt. By embracing the 4 agreements, you'll be able to let go of negative emotions, thoughts, and patterns that hold you back. Pause for 2 to 3 seconds. In the next section, we'll dive into the second agreement, where we'll explore the importance of not taking things personally. Stay tuned to learn more about how this agreement can help you live a more authentic and meaningful life. Now that we've covered the first agreement, let's dive deeper into the second agreement, which will help you break free from limiting beliefs. This is where things get really interesting, as we'll explore how to stop taking things personally and start living a life free from the weight of other people's opinions. The second agreement, don't take anything personally, is all about recognizing that nothing anyone else says or does is a reflection of your worth as a person. It's about understanding that their opinions, criticisms, and even kind words are all based on their own perceptions, experiences, and beliefs. And that's a liberating realization, because it means you're not tied to their emotions or reactions. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're at work, and your colleague makes a comment about your new project. You took all the time and effort to work on it, but they say it's not good enough. You might feel hurt, offended, or even defensive. But what if I told you that their comment has nothing to do with you as a person? It's not a reflection of your skills, intelligence, or worth. It's simply a reaction based on their own biases and limitations. This is where the ego comes in. Our ego loves to take things personally because it feels threatened by criticism or negative feedback. But when we take things personally, we become attached to the outcome and start to identify with the opinions of others. We become our own worst enemies, stuck in a cycle of self-doubt and anxiety. The impact of ego on relationships is profound. When we take things personally, we start to see others as reflections of ourselves. We become mirrors, reflecting our own insecurities, fears, and doubts. We might even start to project those onto others, expecting them to validate our worth or criticize us further. But here's the thing. When we stop taking things personally, we start to see others as individuals with their own stories, struggles, and motivations. We begin to understand that their words and actions are not about us, but about their own experiences and emotions. So, how do we cultivate self-acceptance in the midst of all this chaos? It starts with recognizing that our worth is not defined by the opinions of others. We are more than our accomplishments, our relationships, or our possessions. We are unique, valuable, and worthy of love and respect, regardless of what others think. In the next section, we'll explore the third agreement, which will help you take your understanding of the 4 agreements to the next level. But for now, let's practice this second agreement in our daily lives. Remember, it's not about being immune to criticism or negative feedback. It's about recognizing that it's not a reflection of your worth as a person. And that's a liberating realization, one that can change the course of your life forever. Take a moment to reflect on the second agreement. How do you take things personally? What are some instances where you felt hurt or offended by someone's words or actions? Now, imagine that their words and actions are not about you, but about their own experiences and emotions. How does that shift your perspective? As you continue on this journey with the 4 agreements, remember that it's not about achieving perfection or having all the answers. It's about being willing to learn, grow, and evolve as a person. And that's something we can all strive for, no matter where we are on our path to inner peace and harmony. Now that we've covered the first 2 agreements, let's explore the third and fourth agreements, which will help you live a more authentic, meaningful life. These agreements are where the magic happens, and you'll start to experience the profound transformation that the 4 agreements promise. Let's dive into the third agreement. Don't make assumptions. This is one of the most significant challenges we face in our daily lives, as assumptions can lead to misunderstandings, conflicts, and even harm to ourselves and others. Think about it. How many times have you jumped to conclusions or made assumptions about someone or something, only to realize later that you were wrong? By not making assumptions, you'll be able to communicate more effectively, build stronger relationships, and live with greater clarity. The third agreement is not just about avoiding assumptions. It's also about being open to new information and perspectives. When you make assumptions, you're essentially closing off your mind to new ideas and experiences. By being willing to listen and learn, you'll be able to navigate even the most complex situations with greater ease and confidence. Now, let's move on to the fourth agreement. Always do your best. This agreement is not about being perfect. It's about striving for excellence in everything you do. By doing your best, you'll be able to build self-confidence, develop a growth mindset, and live with greater purpose and direction. One of the key principles of the 4 agreements is that they're not just about individual agreements. They're about how they intersect and influence one another. By incorporating the third and fourth agreements into your daily life, you'll start to notice a profound shift in your relationships, your work, and your overall sense of well-being. So, how can you start applying these agreements in your daily life? One practical tip is to practice mindfulness and self-awareness. Take a few moments each day to reflect on your thoughts, feelings, and actions. Ask yourself, am I making assumptions or acting on assumptions? Am I doing my best, or am I settling for less? By being more aware of your thoughts and actions, you'll be able to make more informed decisions and live a more authentic, meaningful life.